Alright, homies. We're back today, and we're back to a Khaiza like movie slash TV review, right? What was the excuse me. Sorry, what was the last one that we did review wise? Outside of like a Marvel, outside of a tokusatsu show. Oh, it was Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, okay, yeah, sorry, not outside. Yeah, but we can include that. The last reviews that we did of last year, damn, I'm like counting them down. There was a lot of stuff in 2024. What did we review on in Osama Sentai King Oger? We did Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix series. We did X-Men 97. We did Deadpool and Wolverine, and we did Kamen Rider Gotchard. So we did like 5 total reviews of mixed like TV shows slash movies, right? And we're in the new year of 2024, man. 2025. Sorry, 2025, and the Khaiza actually got to like spend time, sat down with Ambient Movie Theater. Like I just turned my room into like this like ambient theater mode, and watched Transformers 1. I think for me the last film I've watched in of last year, right? Yeah, and I even got like, what was it? I was like, I don't know how long I'll wait for like a digital copy slash digital release of Transformers 1. A Blu-ray copy of Blu-ray slash 4K version of Transformers 1. I think I ordered this. Oh, sorry. I think I ordered this movie before Christmas. And it was just like sitting there collecting like dust. The only thing that was like stopping me from watching this movie until like what? Well, a few days before New Year's, I think it was on like a Sunday, was just like League of Legends, and she's just thinking about all those like torturous moments of playing League of Legends. I was like, nope, I gotta stop. I gotta put my foot down and stop playing League of Legends. That's what I did. And so far I've been keeping up. How many days since I played League of Legends? Last Sunday. And I've been doing pretty good. I've not had like an inkling to play League, right? So far it's like I've stopped smoking. I stopped smoking since then. League was getting real bad to me, so I just stopped, and so far I've been doing good. Inshallah, I hope that I stop playing League forever and just play like 2x KO. That's the only exception. But yeah, last Sunday I sat down and watched Transformers 1. And you know, funny speaking of, because I was so influenced on social media, especially like after the film's release, of like the struggle that Transformers 1 had in like box office. I looked up, it was like competing against like DreamWorks' The Wild Robot, and Transformers 1 kind of like undersold, right? So there was like this huge like social media marketing campaign to get more people to watch Transformers 1. And yeah, there were like small baby steps for Transformers 1. Like it underperformed like in the tens thousands, I think, right? If memory serves me correct. But by the push of the movie devs themselves and from Transformers fans, this film got like, you know, adequate like movie budget, gross budget, to get to where Transformers needed to be. But still though, it was like, this film was like marketed as like a cheesy, jokey, like child movie under like the name of like Transformers, and there was a lot of like Avengers casting, right? Marvel casting in this like movie, right? When we got like the first instance of Transformers 1 in like just actors, we didn't have Peter Cullen, who is the icon of the Autobots of Transformers lore for the longest of time, since the animated series back in the 1980s. He didn't voice that, and he didn't voice Optimus here, and so doesn't Megatron. Megatron is not voiced by Frank Welker. In actuality, Optimus Prime and Megatron respectively are voiced by Thor's Chris Hemsworth, and Eternals is one dude that can speak like multiple languages, right? That dude from Eternals, Brian Henry Tyler. And there are a lot of like Hollywood star actors in there, right? Like ScarJo as Alita. Bumblebee was Keegan-Michael Kay, right? Half of like the Jordan Peele Kay and Peele show. Is that what it's called? The goated like not SNL sitcom. SNL skits show. Not sitcom, it's not a sitcom, it's a skit show. But there was a lot of like Hollywood like stardom, right, in this like movie. We got like Lawrence Fishburne, we got Steve Buscemi, we got Steve Blum, we got John Hamm, right? There's a whole lot of like stardom like in here, but you don't have like some of the legendary goats that make up the Transformers, especially, more specifically, Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, that are the iconic voices of Optimus and Megatron. Because this movie was marketed and advertised as a Transformers origin story. Transformers 1 is a coming of age story, and it shows Optimus Prime and Megatron as allies before they become Autobots and Decepticons, before the heated rivalry between the two leaders over Cybertron. So this was marketed as like an origin story, but it was marketed in the most cheesy way, which turned off Transformers fans and even turned off like new fans. Like, what the fuck? What is this? Like, ew, like gross, ew, you know, like the hell's going on? So with that all together, like the movie like launched, and I'll honestly say this movie's pretty legit. This movie's fire. I liked it. It's like a 9 out of 10 for me. I didn't mind the cheesiness though. I do love like cheesy kind of like branded like humor. I watch fucking Kung Fu Hustle, dogs. I watch Kung Fu Hustle, homies. I play Hi-Fi Rush. I watch like fucking and what else is like cheesy like bad. I play like oddball fighting games like Fight of Gods and Fight of Animals. Right? I do love me like hokey ass like fucking humor. This film is like a lot of that though. Right? It was like entertaining, but it wasn't like, you know, cringe fest. This movie didn't make me like, you know, cringe a lot. It definitely had like, you know, some fast like cut dialogue pacing, right? That most like animated movies do. Like I watched like what? Kung Fu Panda. Oh yeah, Kung Fu Panda I watched on Netflix. That movie was good, but it was like, yeah, it's just, there's not a lot of like gaps in between characters like speaking. Everything is just like super fast. You know, point A to point B to point C to point D. There's no like room for levity, no like space in between. I guess that's just how like animated movies are, you know, nowadays. So it's really like, I don't know. I guess I'm not like used to that. I like, you know, slowness to it, to allow like more of the event, of the dialogue, of what was it, the interaction going on, right? To let it like grow and blossom. And even though like Transformers 1's dialogue can be like super fast-paced because of like, you know, animation movies going on, what the animation format is going on like now, in terms of just like, you know, structure of like scenes and stuff like that and character dialogue, I can forgive it because again, Transformers 1 is like a 9 out of 10 for me. It's really like good. I was underestimated how good the movie is, and I was like spoiled day one post launch of Transformers 1. People, especially Transformers fans, were like hyping up like especially the middle to last ends of the Transformers 1 movie, especially fucking, you know, Optimus and Megatron, or as in this version, Orion Pax and D116 respectively, right? So I've just been hearing like word of mouth, and you know what I've been doing to satiate my Transformers like, you know, urges? I was watching the Transformers live action movies on Netflix. Boy, were they something else. I'll give you like a rundown of like each Transformers movie, right? My personal like rating for them. Not like, you know, scores, but just like, you know, phrases. Transformers 1, good concept. Transformers 2, cool. A little bit gratuitous in some parts, but good. But cool. Sorry, cool. Transformers 3, I don't know. Like, change up in actors specifically, lost like taste, and like, you know, I think like, what was it? Late Leonard Nimoy as Sentinel was really good. Transformers 4 was fucking Mark Wahlberg trying to be, you know, little guy, tough guy. And this was like after the events of like whatever happened in Transformers 3. I did not gravitate it as much, right? Transformers 5? What was it? Age of Extinction? I saw it once. Never again. And then there was like Rise of the Beasts, right? Which was, it had like Maximals and Predacons in there. I think it had Predacons. No, it didn't have Predacons. But it definitely had, you know, what was it? Like beast morphers, beast animals. Cheetar, Hawk, Optimus Primal. Cool, but it was like, no. No. But Bumblebee was a really good movie. So I would honestly say like the 3 best live action Transformers movies was, of course, the first one, because it was the first cool concept. Transformers 2, it gets a little bit of a pass because, you know, it has some cool moments. But there's some like degen shit that I didn't like. And Bumblebee, right? Because it was a Bumblebee spin-off, and from what I've heard, it had like G1 inspired designs for the Transformers that weren't like the live action junk bots that were designed and made, or like Hawkeye monitored by Michael Bay. Fuck that guy. But Jesus, the Transformers live actions movies were cool. They were serviceable. I look back on them in like retrospect, like they were cool, right? They had like some room. But just like the humor to them was just, it definitely felt like, yeah, with the times. Like Transformers, like back then, was always been about like, you know, young boys, like equivalent to like Power Rangers, like kids show, catered for kids. Definitely has a lot of like dark points to them. Both go hand in hand. But it was catered to kids for, you know, it was under by like Hasbro, so they had to like sell for like toys. And there was a lot of like Transformers like kids, American-made kid shows, and the wave of like anime influences of Transformers like Armada, Energon, Cybertron, those three fucking goats of like Transformers, like the that anime trilogy saga. Holy shit, those were fucking cool. Back in like when they aired in like Toonami, when Toonami was you know, goated for the sauce. Shit was really sick. So the Transformers live action though, in that respect, is like a hyperactive teenager going through like hormones and shit like that. You could definitely like feel that way with like casting like Shia LaBeouf and like, you know, set in like California, right? All these like, you know, chauvinistic dude bros and primetime Megan Fox, which, you know, hearing like, you know, behind the scenes of like the actress, she didn't like, you know, those roles, being like dressed up as a skimpy hot like girl, right? It was all by like Michael Bay because he loves California and like Adventures of the Sun. A lot of like explosions and shit like that, and a lot of like political stuff there too, showcasing of like the army and shit like that, and like, you know, liaisons and stuff like that. Like yeah, okay. Okay. So it fits like that, but there were like some moments of, you know, genuine like, you know, wholeheartedness of the Transformers movies here and there. You just have to like be brave enough to watch them. I didn't find any moments in like Transformers 4 or 5 with like the Mark Wahlberg shit. I'm like, nah. I didn't find anything in like, what was it, Rise of the Beasts, you know, with like their human actors. I was just like, ugh. No. Once again, like Transformers, making it like live action is like a bold ambition. The best thing you can do is like doing it animated or anime, right? Tomato, tomato. Both can like work, because how are you gonna make like fucking a truck transform into like a robot? When I saw like, what was it? Age of Extinction. Oh, the last one was The Last Night. Age of Extinction was the fourth one, yeah. When I saw Age of Extinction again, and I saw like, what was it? Nanobots? Like, not like affiliation of Transformers lore, but like nanobots transform? I legit fucking cringed out, bro. That shit I like cringed out. Like, what was the point of Transformers then? Why is there nanobots? The fuck? Man. But again, they were serviceable. They were fine. They were not great, but they were okay. Transformers 1, this is like, they were all well, the live actions were run by Michael Bay. Transformers 1, after the end of the movie, when I saw who was like, you know, directors, executive producers and stuff like that, I didn't know the director's name. I forgot what the director's name, but I saw producer and executive producer, or EP. Producer was Michael Bay. Fucking ew. But then I saw who EP was, and it was Steven Spielberg. Wow, Steven Spielberg? Oh, okay then. Alright, that's pretty cool. Steven Spielberg was EP in Transformers 1. Okay. Okay. And I can see why, especially like in the middle of the Transformers movie and the very end. Holy shit, that man can work wonders. Holy crap. But yeah, that's all like the production side, like before and after Transformers 1. Let's talk about like the lore let's talk about like the story and the lore for a bit, right? As I once said, Transformers 1 is a origin story, right? And so this is the origin of the Autobots and the Decepticons, right? So it depicts how Orion Pax becomes Optimus Prime and how D116 becomes the brutal leader of the Decepticons, Megatron, right? And after this film, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot more to Transformers lore than meets the eye, no pun intended. But the story starts off as like, you know, young Bucks, Orion, and D. We'll call him like D because that's what Orion Pax calls D16 is D. Orion and D are miners, right? In a dying, not yet dying Cybertron, but it was like, yeah, Cybertron was made by the, I forgot like the lore bit already, but it was made by like the Quintessons. Oh yeah, that was it. It was made by the Quintessons. Ancient like alien fuckfaces that converted like metal into like, you know, home-like planets, right? All that metal made like was molded together and made like Primus, right? Who is like a living planet, but is, you know, a planet. And there are other planets out there other than Primus, which are the obvious one, which is Unicron. And so the Quintessons left because the bots found sentience and fought back against their oppressors, the Quintessons, and together with the original 13 Primes, right? They fought back against the Quintessons and made their home planet Cybertron and made different sectors, with the capital being one of them, Iacon. Iacon is like, you know, fucking New York of the United States, right? The Golden City, right? But over time, Cybertron lost all of their energon supplies. Energon is like, you know, the lifeblood, the life source of all Transformers, right? And there are Transformers, well, there's like a caste system. The upper bots are able to like transform, while the lower bots, including Orion Pax and D116, are not. They do not have cogs. They do not have sparks inside of them that are able to transform, unlike the other ones above. The ruler of Iacon is Sentinel Prime. Oh god, Sentinel Prime. Oh man. That's not a good name to hear in Transformers lore. But anyway. Orion Pax and D116, D16 are miners that mine and harvest energon from the planet. And Orion is like the adventurous like goofball, while D116 is the more serious, obedient one. And Orion tells D like, hey, there's got to be more to us than meets the eye. So they enter a race called the Iacon 5000, lose the race, you know, meets up with Sentinel after the race, have a chance to like prove themselves, but they unwittingly go outside via like a distress signal found in the lower chambers of Cybertron, where Bumblebee resides. They find like a distress signal of like one of the last surviving members of the 13 original Primes that fought back against like the Quintessons. So the three, along with, you know, Alita, a female Transformer bot, find a distress signal and find the still living still living sage, Alpha Trion, and he reveals that Sentinel was a bad guy. He reveals that Sentinel was actually did a double cross of the Primes and left them to die in the Quintessence, and has been secretly giving Energon to the Quintessence, evil scumbag, so that he could be at the top, so that he can rule over Iacon. This infuriates Orion Pax and D, but especially D16. All his life, he looked up to the 13 original Primes, especially one of the Primes, Megatronus, which, you know, has the face that marks a striking resemblance to the Decepticon logo, which Orion gives D116 a decal sticker on his shoulder. And so, after learning the truth of that, D116 becomes furious, and he vows to, you know, in a lust of vengeance, kill Sentinel Prime. He thought all this time he was a minor, that he was doing the good work, doing work for the good man, but all his life was robbed by Sentinel. He wants his life back. He wants his freedom back. So they rush over to Iacon, hindered by the Royal Guard of the Primes, which is led by Starscream, Soundwave, Shockwave, who Starscream is voiced by Steve Buscemi. You know that guy who was like, "Hey, what up, fellow gamers?" And is in this red tracksuit and shit like that. It's that's Starscream, which, you know, Starscream has always this nasally voice. In the video games, he's voiced by Viral from Gurren Lagann. But dude, Starscream, Steve Buscemi as Starscream, picturing this nasally voice. It's "I am Starscream," you know, Megatron. Actually, Steve Buscemi is a good fit. Steve Buscemi actually is a good fit for Starscream. But the Royal Guard, or they're outcasts now at that point of the movie, captured the squad. But Megatron, in a fit of rage, fights back and says some really peculiar lines that are referential to the old 1986 movie. "Do you want this pretender to the throne order you around?" D116 fucking almost chokes out Starscream, and other people there, other bots there were "Shit, I'ma follow him now." But what was it? Oh, but then they got ambushed by one of Sentinel's agents and rounds up D16 and Bumblebee. And so Orion Pax and Alita squads up with the other Royal Guard assholes and what was it? Assaults? What would be not assaults, charges at Iacon. And a big fight ensues, and we later see fucking Optimus becoming Optimus Prime, Orion become Optimus Prime, and D116 becoming Megatron. Damn, what a okay, I'll save that for later, but through the events of the battle or the skirmish at Iacon, Sentinel's in... Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, right here. There you go. My bad. D16 has like no fear against Sentinel because, you know, D16 is like, Sentinel is D16's object of vengeance, and he's gonna murder his ass. Well, I can't say murder now. But he does it in the most like audacious way for like a kid's like movie. This is like catered to like kids. This is PG, by the way. This is not PG-13. This is not rated R. This is PG. D16 like rips Sentinel in half in front of like his audience, in front of the people of Iacon, and he says, "No longer will we be shackled, for I am Megatron," something like that. In the process of D16 trying to, you know, kill Sentinel. Excuse me. He accidentally shoots Orion, and Orion goes through like, you know, the center of Cybertron, where he meets Primus and gives him the Matrix of Leadership. And Orion Pax becomes Optimus Prime, and both of them like duke it out until Optimus becomes the winner. And he tells his former best friend to, you know, get the fuck out of here. You can't cause any more trouble. He pieces out. And the movie ends with like, you know, from the rubbles of whatever happened with that assault on Iacon, Optimus Prime becomes a leader of the Autobots now, giving everyone like a cog, and you get to see a peculiar bot becoming Transformers for the first time. Sideswipe, Jazz, I think Ironhide, Recon, Wheeljack. There are lots of like references in here. And the movie ends with like the Autobots trying to fend off the Quintessons, and a post-credit tease or mid-credit tease of D16 forming the Decepticons. So the movie is like really spectacular on all fronts. A lot of people will like get turned off, of course, from the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. The beginning of the movie only, because it's so cheesy. It feels like Marvel like dialogue. Nobody wanted to see this. But social media like turned the other cheek and saw like, you know, the dialogue and the power struggle and the aura, right, that comes from Optimus Prime and Megatron near the in the middle and near the end of the movie. This shit was fucking goated, dude. I can understand why this got a lot of like critical response. And critical response of Transformers 1 was that it got an 89% of 163 critics reviews positive. It got like an average of like 7.3 out of 10, but from scores, from a few like certain scores, it got like a grade of like A. Some are like, you know, 75, 7.3, you know, because of the like humor and stuff like that. IGN gave it like a 5 out of 10. Shit, bro. But yeah, this was like a really legit like good film. I can't wait to like see it with mom, because mom was super interested in watching Transformers since I have like the DVD with me. We'll have to watch it like a second time. I don't know if I could like ask her tomorrow or things like that, because our like, you know, movie times are a little bit like, you know, just imaginations, honestly. Like, she has work, I have work, so we can't really sit down. And if we do sit down, she'll just like, you know, she'll just like sleep. Like, you know those like memes on like TikTok or Instagram where a couple or a guy or a girl get their favorite foods, watch a movie, and eat while watching a movie, and then they doze off? That's my mom. That's my mom. She doesn't like that in theaters though, which is surprisingly funny enough. But if it's at home, I don't have anything else to do. But this movie was really good. Like, I was really unexpected. I was really like thrown off. So I was like, wow, this movie's pretty legit. Holy crap. Holy crap. A lot of like, you know, there's a lot of like nods to old Transformers, especially like in the Transformers 86 movie, right? The old school animated movie. There were a lot of like lines that were there that didn't feel like they were forced, but they just like come naturally. There are like two grunts that reference like Stan Bush's Dare and You Got the Touch. There was like the one scene where D116 fights Starscream and calls him a pretender to this throne, some shit like that, right? And you get to see like the matrix of leadership, and badass like music comes on, you know? And of course, like the thematics of like Transformers 1 being like so above and beyond, like just your generic marketed like this is for kids movie. This is not a kids movie in the middle nor the end of the movie. Trust, this is not a kids movie, right? You legit have like, you know, D116 finding out the truth about his life. The whole like Transformers, right, lore pretty much boils down to not just like good and evil, which is like the old lore, but boils down to slavery. Orion Pax and D116 are two figureheads in the Transformers lore, but were rose up to their predisposed destiny / fates because of a caste system that was in Cybertron. And mostly is all about like, you know, the situation with Energon, which is their lifeblood, their source of living. And Energon was like a dying source. And so the old guard is not really like doing anything to Cybertron. So the two ones that were like to notice this are Orion and D. But both have conflicting views between each other. Orion is more of like Charles Xavier, right? He wants to solve everything through, you know, diplomatic solutions and be pacifist. Violence is only like, you know, a last resort. However, D16 is, he's in old lore, he was a gladiator, he was a fighter, he was a miner but turned gladiator. And so he thought fighting, like throwing away the old system, killing them off, is better than just trying to talk things out. And so the Primes chose Optimus, or Orion for that, and made him a Prime, the newest Prime, while Megatron was seething and boiling with anger and spite that, yeah, I could have been a Prime. My way was much better, but you chose this asshole? Man, fuck you, you bitch-ass Primes. You don't know shit. That's like the old lore. But in here, they like do it cleverly, right? Because D16, before finding the old Prime's graves in that one, like, you know, ambush site, believed 100% the just cause of Sentinel and everything. Well, when he later finds out that Sentinel was like a fraud hero, he got upset, rightfully so, even willingly thinking of murder, and which he does successfully. well, to itself. I mean, murder is of course, you know, bad. Don't like YouTube it, please. But all his life, D16 was devoted to the Sentinel cause, right? That he was doing the good man's work. But when he finds out where he really like came from, who he really like was, what he was really supposed to be, not like, you know, fate or like destiny or some shit, like not like he didn't see a future of him becoming like, you know, Megatron, but he could have been something far more than just working like in the mines without like a cog, without a transformer spark in him. He got furious and upset, and so he lashes out even to like his best friend Orion, that of course Orion was also upset too, but he just wants to make sure his best friend is okay, you know? I mean, you know, right? The way I said like I mean is like, yeah, Orion Pax is like cool because of course it is he is voiced by Chris Hemsworth, right? He is not Peter Cullen. So the more you hear from Orion Pax in this movie, you just hear like Thor, because he's iconic for that role, Thor. So it doesn't feel like Orion Pax / Optimus Prime, right? He doesn't feel like Peter Cullen at all. That's what like at first moment of this film threw off fans, because Peter Cullen is nowhere mentioned to be in this. He's not even like a cameo like voice like in a Mario movie. Like, you know, Chris Pratt is in Mario, and Charles Martinet was just like a cameo voice on the side. So he's good, but later towards like the end, you know, where he stops being like, you know, a goofball. But yeah, there's a lot of like, you know, things that doesn't really make it like a kids movie in a sense, you know. You have themes that are talking about, you know, working in the mines and, you know, finding out like, you know, your fraud like heroes and trying to revolt an established system, overthrow a government, right? Like those like things are not really like, you know, kid friendly most of the time. They're mostly like, you know, saved for adult commentary, not in a kids show, which is, you know, that's why I equated to like, you know, Power Rangers in that essence, is that yeah, Power Rangers can have a lot of like depth and intricate meaning, and that's why like those shows like in the Fox era, in the Disney era, right, not in the Mighty Morphin era, nor the Saban era or the Hasbro era, but specifically the Disney and Fox era shows of Power Rangers. Yeah, they're Power Rangers, so they sell for like toys and stuff. They're comedic, right? Because its audience are for kids. But you can have like kids shows that have a lot of like weight and gravity to them. It's what I always say. You can be goofy, you can be silly, but don't try too deep into like, you know, the lore and storytelling. Have fun, but make it a point where like, you know, children can understand it, and don't be afraid, right? Things like that. And that's what like, you know, Transformers is, you know, after watching this film is like, wow, yeah, there's a lot of like, you know, instances of like people talking about like war and like, you know, coups and rising above your oppressors, right? This is not like a kids movie, you know. The highlights of it are like, you know, Orion and D16, especially Megatron, right? You see his growth, you see his becoming Megatron, instead of like, you know, the old lore, which has like some similarities like here in this movie, but you see like him slowly turning into like, you know, the hate that he has been accumulating after that prime gravesite, so to speak. So Transformers has a lot of like depth to it, and that's why like, you know, the last parts of it really like fucking shine though. Like, damn man, I was not expecting like Transformers 1 to be like, you know, that good until those parts like specifically. I'm like, yeah. And of course, like I enjoyed like the beginning because like I said, I love like cheesy, hokey schlock, right? There's no like good or bad. I like the movie. Again, I watched like Kung Fu, what was it? Kung Pao entered the tongue and shit like that. Shit is fucking fire. I still love it to this day. That's a lot of nuts. Now be $4, baby. You want fries with that? God awful like humor, but I loved it. Shaolin Soccer, Kung Fu Hustle, right? So, yeah, I loved the movie through and through, like altogether completely, right? Even to like the point of like after watching the movie, I was watching Transformers like lore videos of the true origins of like Optimus and D116, D16, right? Yeah, man, this shit is fire. So I'm hoping for like, you know, a sequel. That's like the unfortunate part. Back again, is like, you know, right? Transformers 1 really like underperformed in like box office. Like it didn't have like a lot of like units like sold in a phrasing like that. It was like reviewed pretty well, pretty critically, like to score like an 89%, to have like, you know, some cases like 7.3s or like to like 89s or even like A minuses, you know? Like this shit is really good. This shit is really good. But the overall impression of Transformers 1 made it like a negative impact, that it was advertised as like a hokey like kids origin story with no like serious levity of Transformers, which is, that's what's always been to Transformers' minds. And was just targeted like wrong. That's also like in play of like, you know, the Hasbro fuckery. I mean, Hasbro is a shitty studio. They ruined Transformers, they ruined Power Rangers, especially with like the movie, and with the last season, which is Cosmic Fury. No, Hasbro. And they had like a public auction of the Power Rangers props. No. So yeah, I hope like the movie like does well to get like a sequel. Like if it got like that much critical response, I hope like, you know, Hasbro understands this. But I mean, like at the time that Transformers 1 like debuted, they said that following the film's underperformance, Hasbro announced that they would no longer be co-financing the film's adaptations, instead leaving external studios to exclusively fund such projects. Yeah, Hasbro said like, nah. And this was like planned to be like, you know, a trilogy series, right? Transformers 1 was gonna lead to like, you know, sequel movies like Transformers 2 or Transformers 3, right? And we would eventually see the progression of D16 and Orion Pax, Megatron and Optimus, to have their old voices back, Frank Welker and Peter Cullen. But that shit is very like, excuse me, uncertain. Now we don't know if we're gonna get like a Transformers 2, but I would honestly say, like, you know, I want that shit to happen. We just need that push for it, though. We definitely need that push for Transformers 2. Yeah, this shit was fucking good because of all, like, the themes and, like, you know, the characters were likable. Even to an extent, like, Bumblebee, who's, like, voiced by Keegan Michael Kay. Talkative motherfucker, but yeah, he has his moments, you know? Scarlett Johansson as Alita. Another Marvel actor, but works really well as Alita. And I think Alita, before RC, Alita was Optimus's love interest. They could do something really hammy there. But overall, Transformers 1 is a solid fucking film. I would 100% recommend it. If you haven't seen it yet, go do it. Go buy the Blu-ray copy or the upgraded collector's set. I know there's one like that somewhere. I know there's, of course, one like that somewhere, online or maybe physical retail. But go watch this movie, go buy this movie, right? If you have the money for it, just make Hasbro understand that Transformers is, no pun intended, more than meets the eye, right? Don't wait until you have Netflix or stuff like that. I mean, that's a free accessible option for those that are living down under, right? Right? If you can't afford to get the money needed to buy Transformers, wait until Netflix or something. But if you have the money, go buy this DVD. It's definitely worth it, worth your time and energy. Yeah, just the lore, just the feeling of Transformers, being in a, or better yet, play Ninja Gaiden. God, what's up, James? Or better yet, play Ninja Gaiden.